Hey y'all, Layles here and welcome to my channel. Today I am building a tiny house inspired by the upcoming stuff pack for Sims 4 Tiny Living. Now, I do have some mixed feelings about this pack. On one hand, it is a pack that seems to be based relatively on content that players do want. A lot of people love making tiny builds, and it's great when EA decides that the Sims team can work on content that players really do want. Now, on the other hand, there was this slight, and ever so slight part of me that was like, oh, yes, EA, you're going to be utilizing James Turner's content, since he used to make a lot of tiny builds, and he was pretty well known, I think, for doing some tiny builds as a challenge, and he made this challenge, I think, a little bit more popular than what people were doing originally. And I know that, the Sims team looks up to him, which is really nice. I really do appreciate that, since he says a lot of things that I think is pretty important for them to hear. But part of me was just kind of like, you're kind of using this little piece of space that the players have made themselves. So I'm not quite sure about that end. Now, am I opposed to the idea of this pack? I guess in theory, no, because they're bringing in some new hybrid items that will act as like a couch and a bed, or the bookcase with the TV. And I think that's really interesting, and if they were going to do that for a stuff pack, part of me wishes that they would bring that versatility into the Sims 4 in general, which, they are doing that to an extent, since they are bringing in the update that came out. So, I guess that's a props for them moment. With the pack itself, I might not buy it right away. I probably actually won't buy it right away. Especially because, stuff packs, I kind of do think that they're overpriced for the amount of content you get. I don't find them necessary to my gameplay. I use them more for building than I do for anything else. I love the bohemian stuff from, I think it was movie night. It might have been bowling stuff. I'm not sure off the top of my head. But I love some of the stuff that you can get in the packs, just as things for building. But I don't think I need to be spending like the full $10 just for that content. I can wait till there's a discount. So with this house, I decided to build the tiny build since, the pack. And I was really trying to minimize the grid space I used, but not necessarily the floors. So I do build up. It's 3 stories. I did this because I was trying to fit in a small family, and I think I did a pretty good job. I don't know that it's necessarily as tiny as I guess I really wanted it to be initially. I realized a lot of what I was doing was just maximizing floor space by taking up as much of the grids as possible. So it is a tiny house. It's an affordable tiny house, so if you have the packs I use in this, you can download it off the gallery. My username is doremilayles, like my YouTube channel. You can download it for yourself. I do believe it is about 19,000 simoleons by the end, so you could use this really as a nice little starter, The family I was building this for, Lilith Pleasant, and her little family that now exists in my save file. So when University came out, I was so excited when it came out. Just honestly, we did get a little comeback of the Pleasant twins from The Sims 2, which is by far one of my favorite reincarnations of this game. I actually think I like Sims 2 better than the rest, if I'm being honest. So I was really excited to see them back, but a little bit, I guess, sad by how they looked in Sims 4. One of my biggest complaints with The Sims 4 is because the idea that the Sims team went with was to be, I guess the term would be that they are looking to make it where you have more creative freedom to make storylines among families. In previous incarnations, we saw storylines kind of put in there, and the characters had some more character development. So while you see some of that in the new reincarnations of characters from previous games, because they're established characters, you see a bit more openness. And I think that we can see that with the Pleasant twins too. I do think that Lilith got the short end of the stick with the Pleasant twins for The Sims 4. I really liked her in The Sims 2. I preferred her to Angela, if I'm being honest, but The Sims 4 reincarnation really kind of puts her as this very blatantly evil sim, if I'm being honest. And in The Sims 2, there was kind of this, at least in my opinion, there was this pull for her to be a bit more like, maybe she's evil, but maybe she isn't, because, you know, she's also the one that her parents don't maybe like as much out of the two, and they don't get her. And I really did like her as a character. I really did. The reason I'm building a house for her is because when I downloaded University, which I was so excited for, I sent one of the Sims in my save file to go to college, and, you know, he met Angela, and he fell in love with Angela, so they got into a relationship. I moved her and Lilith in with him, and when I moved them in, I noticed that my MCC mod had, you know, caused for some interesting things. Lilith actually had a kid, and I looked, and it was the funniest thing ever, being a Sims 2 person. Her kid was with Dirk Dreamer, which, if you've played The Sims 2, you know they were dating in The Sims 2, and so it's kind of funny. It's like, oh, they were so meant to be, even though I did not think they were meant to be. It was kind of interesting that that happened. So after she graduated, I moved her out with her son, who's named Jonathan. I put them in with Dirk Dreamer, and I decided to move them into Willow Creek. So I wanted a nice little house for them to be, especially because I figure that I'll send Sims I play with to visit them sometimes, since they're part of the family. And I don't know, I just wanted to have this cute little house. I figured for a tiny build it would make sense to do them, because I think Lilith would probably be okay with a tiny house. She was very alternative, and I think that tiny living is a pretty alternative lifestyle, I guess, to what we traditionally think of when we need a house. And I don't know, I just thought it was an interesting way to think about. So I kind of went for this dark colors with some modern touches. I figured for my gameplay it made sense, because then it could be like, oh, Dirk has this house and he's inviting his baby mama, I guess, to come and live with him, and then she can live in the house after he dies, since he is kind of older than her in my game, since Get Famous is pretty old at this point. Because Lilith is who I was thinking of when I built, I used a lot of that nice brick red that is pretty like, you associate that with her, in my mind. It just, that's her color, is black and red. And then I kind of felt like there was too much red, so the main, I guess it would be the master bedroom, although it's not a suite, I decided that would be another color scheme, and I thought that I would go for some dark blues and maybe make it look a little bit, I don't know, islandy retro, because maybe that's the remnants of Dirk being around still. It was just a little idea. So I think I probably will end up changing the master bedroom, but I like it for now. I like it for this build. I think it's a nice, peaceful area compared to the rest of the house, but that's also my I prefer blues to reds, I really do. It's more my cup of tea, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, with the tiny living pack, I guess the other thing that I'm thinking about is I'm not so sure how they're going to do the new lot type. I know that that's an interesting concept. I kind of wonder why they chose to do a new lot type instead of lot traits. Besides that, I guess you could put like a tiny lot or a tiny home trait on a bigger home too, and that would be weird, I guess. But, you know, I guess it's kind of whatever. I also think you could also make the argument that you can build a tiny house on a non-tiny house lot, then with it being a new lot type. it's just, I don't know. It's something I'm interested to see how they're going to really show in this next stuff pack. I'm also interested for when fan voted stuff will come out, if there is a different pack for fan voted. I know that knitting, I think they said, would be involved with this stuff pack. I don't know how that's getting tied in, maybe, but you know, that's cool. I like to knit. I think if this is the fan voted stuff pack, I was probably a little bit more wanting it to be, if they were gonna do knitting, to be elders. So yeah, we are towards the end of the house. Nice little modern place. I was gonna do some landscaping, which honestly is the bane of my existence when I build on Sims. Like, I love to build on the Sims, but landscaping and roofs, they are just the bane of my existence. So I kind of kept it to a little corner. This really is going to be suited for a corner lot, honestly, the way I landscaped. Small little corner lots, so that's what I would recommend placing this on, honestly. And I did pretty minimal landscaping. I'm hoping that with posting videos, I will get better at landscaping. Maybe, you know, figure out a few more tricks, and also figure out some better roofing techniques. This was probably a bad one to showcase any roofing that I do, since I could just put, you know, a little roof there and go just that one little bit. But I tend to just feel like I don't know what to do, honestly, when I do landscaping. So, you know, it's not bad though. I like this build. I do. Maybe it's not my favorite, but I like it. So yeah, thanks for watching, and be sure to give me a comment if you have any suggestions. And yeah, see y'all around the block.